current VP of Public Relations. In addition, he's our District 84's Club Growth Director, a board member of 2 other Toastmasters clubs, a club coach, and a past area director. Can you tell that he's a dedicated Toastmaster? Later this year, he'll be awarded the prestigious designation of becoming our club's next distinguished Toastmaster. From his third path, Level 5, Effective Coaching, his speech is entitled, How to Evaluate a Speech as an Audience Member. Please give a warm welcome to Toastmaster Tim Linger.
Good morning, Toastmasters. Good morning. Talk about a nice segue into this. This is what we're going to talk about. What is it? This is your evaluation slip as an audience member. Yes, we have an evaluator over here for each one of our speakers, but you are also evaluating using this form. So please do. And guess what? There's 2 sides to it, so feel free to let the ink flow. At the end of this, they're going to ask you to vote for 1, or maybe vote for 2. But remember, how should your 1 vote go? How should you evaluate the speech? Should it be evaluated on the content? No. And what about if English is not their first language? Should you evaluate their accent? Should you evaluate things that they cannot control? For an example, if somebody's in a wheelchair, they might be speaking down here. But then again, you notice that there's an electric button over here that raises them up. Maybe you'd want to put that down, tell them to use that button to raise up. Maybe they have an illness where they have a scratchy voice, something they cannot control. So you don't want to put too much weight on that. But instead, you want to focus on the parts of the speech that they can control, the clarity, the pauses, right? The body language. Did they get out in front of the lectern? Maybe that was a good thing for their speech, maybe it wasn't. Did they stand here in a body language kind of a thing and just sort of stand here and give a speech? Did they come back here, or do they just sort of rock the whole time? Did they act nervous? And one thing that you don't want to say is, I'm really nervous. No, because no one knows you're nervous unless you tell people you're nervous, right? Or you're shaking really bad. Eye contact. Now again, things that people can control is eye contact. You want to give everyone in the room the same respect, because remember, your evaluator's over here, but the votes are coming from out here. Plus, you're going to be evaluating the speaker. So they really want to give you the best impression. Now, some people, again, things you can't control, have the eye problem where they're looking here and here. I mean, do you ding them for that? No, probably not, right? The members that have English as a second language, did you know that we have members of our club, there's 6 apparently, members from Colombia. And 1's here today. There's people from England, from Turkey, from Iran, from Russia, from New York. And even the ones from New York with that strong New Yorker accent, don't ding them for that. They can't help it. Now, I'm actually, in my opinion, I don't have an accent, but when I do speak 8 languages, and when I go to these other places, such as Scotland and Canada and England, they think I have an accent. I also speak Belize, Bohemian, Australian, and South African. Those are my 8 languages. Vocal variety. To get your point across, you might want to talk softly, because speaking softly has an impact. But also, look, squirrel, is also important to get someone's attention. And speaking of attention, do I have your attention? Because there's people that get distracted. They get on their phones, they get a message, they're sending text messages, checking emails. Blake looks over at Lonnie and starts talking. How do you bring the audience back in? You may want to call them out. You may want to stare at them. You may want to raise your voice. So it's not necessarily the content of the speech, but how you deliver it. Again, body language, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, using ebullient, the word of the day. Get some credit for that, right? Because it's all going to come into the evaluation of the speech. And then comfort level. Sometimes people are super nervous, and they may be a 10-year Toastmaster. There's something about this front of the room thing that sort of changes people. So, do I look comfortable? Do the other speakers look comfortable? It's important, because this is sort of a training ground to not only be a better leader, but to be a better speaker. We always talk about this being a speaking club, but it's much more than that. Imagine that you get a gig, whether it's in your company or maybe you get hired to be a public speaker, a keynote speaker, and there's 500 people in the room. It doesn't matter if there's 5 people or 500. It's just you up here at the lectern giving a speech, and you need to be comfortable. You're the expert in the room. So you stand over there, wait till you're introduced. That's part of your speech. You need to look good, wear a tie if you're a gentleman. If you're not a gentleman, you can skip the tie. A little bit of humor goes a long ways. It truly does. Even if it's not a humorous speech, a little bit of humor, make people laugh and smile. So those are part of your evaluations. So let me recap them real quick. You have clarity, vocal variety, gestures, body language, audience awareness. Was it interesting? Again, not so much the content, but was the speech interesting? Eye contact. Now let's talk about the content one more time. This speech right here could have been about how awesome our current president is doing. The economy, the border, the uniting of the country. I mean, he's running for re-election. Now, you may not agree with the Bidenomics, but it doesn't matter. How did I deliver it? And I chose the politics speech because that could be controversial. So here I'm going to close with this. To help speakers be better, be the best evaluator that you can be. Be ebullient. Now you have 3 other speakers. Evaluate them well. Dig in. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Toastmasters.